1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who obviously made it this morning despite the change in the weather. It's a beautiful day out there. So we've got the usual. We don't have any apologies, do we? No apologies. Good. We're all here. We then have the minutes of the last meeting, but in fact we've got 2 lots of minutes. As you may recall, we weren't quorate when this meeting was last scheduled, so we have a set of minutes just recording that. And then we have the actual minutes of the previous meeting. Do you have any comments on that? I'll sign them afterwards. Just grab me. Brilliant. Chair's announcements. Well, you know the drill. It's being live streamed. And if there is a fire alarm, we all got that too. Declarations of interest? No. Probably a quick introduction to Steve Gaskell, who is covering for Hannah today.
Yes, unfortunately Hannah can't be here today, but I am now Steve Gaskell. I'm the new head of Rangers Service. So as of the 1st of August, I took on the mantle of Ranger Service head of, and Hannah's now the assistant, as we know, director. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We don't have any questions scheduled. We don't have any public participation. And so we're going straight into the first item. Who of you is going to do it? Sorry?
Is this the modification order? That'll be me.
So would you like to just introduce it? I suspect most of us read this properly for the last meeting, and then we just reminded ourselves again, but it's just a little bit hazier than we might have been
I had to do the same
2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
So yes, so it's a modification order for a footpath in Ravenglass that runs from the main street down onto the shore. It first came to our attention when one of the property owners in the vicinity of the footpath queried why, when we did a consultation on a temporary closure of a different footpath nearby, why a right of way was shown through there, what they assumed just was their garden. So we went back to the definitive map, which did show a line through their garden rather than a little lane that was just alongside. So having looked at the definitive map and statement, it was quite clear that there was a conflict between the two, and the definitive statement sort of provided one route for the footpath, and the line drawn on the map showed something slightly different. The definitive map and definitive statement should form one record together, so it was clear that one or other appeared to be incorrect in this instance, and that one might require modification. When we look at discrepancies between the two, we need to look at all the available evidence and decide on the balance of probabilities, whether it's the map or statement are incorrect, or both, and that it's reasonable to conclude a change should be made. In my view, the evidence is pretty compelling that the route depicted on the definitive map was never available. The seawall traversed the definitive map line from at least 1949, where we have the earliest aerial photo that we found, and it's been obstructed ever since, as far as we know. Whereas on the other hand, there's pretty strong evidence that there's been a way physically available alongside Edgecombe House, which is the house alongside the little lane. It's now called Spindrift. And there was a way there from at least the 19th century and throughout the 20th century and to the present. We also have the records from when the right-of-way was first claimed by the parish council as part of the special review process for the Cumbria definitive map. The description of the route referred to it being between a shoe repairer's shop or cobbler's hut. And we've got several photos showing that hut and where it stood, and that the footpath went along the lane rather than through the garden. Therefore, I think the evidence pretty strongly points to the current definitive map line being a drafting error, and given the fairly precise detail provided by the parish council about the footpaths route when it was claimed, and the physical availability of the definitive statement route, in my view, it's pretty clear that this is where the right way should be depicted on the definitive map. And that therefore, in my view, I would recommend that we make a modification order to all of the depiction of the footpath on the definitive map. I have also noted in there that whilst doing so, it might make sense to update the definitive statement just to reflect the changes in property names and the grid references that are included in that. That's it.
That's great. Well, thank you. And I thought it was actually quite entertaining. It reminded me of my background as an economic historian, looking at cobblers' shops and who lived where, when, and that kind of stuff. Before I throw it open, I just wanted to pull out one point to make sure I understood this. So with this particular legal framework we're operating in, if we think the definitive map is wrong, we must make an order, right? We don't have a choice.
Yes, that's correct. So with modification orders, we always have to look at the evidence and go on in these cases on the balance of probabilities what we think is correct, whether or not it's desirable for one or other owners or ourselves or any other interested party. We must do what we consider the evidence to show.
Right. So the only judgment we're making is on the balance of probabilities with the evidence before us. Fantastic. Thank you. Can I throw it up?
Hello? No, I was just checking the camera. Yeah, looking at it, it looks fairly straightforward case. Me and the family were walking along there only a couple of months ago, and I'd agree. Yeah, it seems extremely unlikely that there was ever a path where it's marked on the map there, and it seems very likely that the actual path has been that for a long time. So I think it's pretty obvious, and the balance of probability is definitely the balances for what you've recommended in the report. So I would full-heartedly support making the modification order.
Yeah, similarly, I'm quite familiar with Ravenglass. I'm there quite often, and I've often walked along there, so it just seems to be a natural route, and I've always believed it'd be some sort of access. I don't see a problem with what we're just proposing.
And is it right to say there's no objections? Nobody locally had it?
No objections, and no one seems to have called into question that the footpath goes where along the little lane. Both owners have referred to it, the footpath being where along the lane in like planning applications and things like that as well.
Nice and straightforward, I think, and I'm not going to object if no one else has.
So our next agenda item is, as always, progress right away, and we've had some issues highlighted in italics, which are changes since the last one. So Nick or Will, do you want to call anything up for our attention?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing hugely. Definitive map modification orders at table 3 and 7 and number 6. We've received one more since then. Mr. Kidd of Staveley submitted a modification order application. And we have another one that I'm expecting, so that'll be up to 37. Occupation Lane is going to public inquiry Tuesday, January 13th at Victory Hall in Broughton, 10 AM. If anybody wishes to attend to observe what happens at public inquiries. It'll be quite a quick one. I think it will be just under a day's worth of inquiry, not a lengthy one. Just turning to table 3, because we've had another sort of month gone on since this was written. Nandle Bridge, Thornthwaite, Hall and High Park that we discussed back in April. That's now gone to planning because we're having to apply for planning permission for some bridges and for the steps. We're not anticipating any problems with that. And then there was another update. So in table 7, these are cases that we're dealing with that haven't come to committee, but we're on with them. We've got Gosforth, Blaney Forest. I've put Forestry England recently agreed proposals, and we are getting the bridges replaced, I think, next summer. And the Cogra Moss at Lamplugh, we were discussing the creation agreement with United Utilities. Thanks to one of our volunteers and the local Cogra Moss, Lamplugh. Thanks to one of our volunteers and Josh McAllister, the MP, United Utilities have contacted us to say they'll honour their original agreement of the proposal in the first place to dedicate it as a footpath. So Will's getting on with that right now. They're going to replace the bridge to make it more suitable for people with limited mobility. And Threlkeld, Setmer Banning and Burkitt Mire, that's now going to be wrapped up with the Keswick to Threlkeld extension route, and the consultation for those proposals for bridleways is going out today. And there's a planning application in for the works that would be required to implement that. So they're all various updates on the things that were updated.
But it's going to be the fastest meeting ever. I think. Well, it's not quite maybe. So then, thank you very much. I think ends the formal part of the meeting.